So I am talking not about therapeutic endoscopy this time, which is my first love, but about another topic, which is imaging for colonoscopy. So I want to challenge you. So this is typically tiny lesion that we may miss during colonoscopy. And when we see this little pale, flat mucosal abnormality, we may also think, oh, this is not clinically relevant, we can skip that. But this is a matter of the scope you're using, because if you have a high definition scope with electronic chromatoscopy, this is the latest generation of Fujifilm with the BLI, you can start seeing that there is something wrong. When you move to the zoom, this is optical zoom, you can see there is depression. This is adenoma with a high grade dysplasia. So this is one of the reasons that we need to get some help from the machine to do better quality colonoscopy. This is the variation rate of adenoma detection in the screening for colorectal cancer program in Italy. This is terrible. You see there are guys being involved into the screening program. They have a very low adenoma detection rate. So this is something that we cannot accept any longer, and we have to try to improve that. Of course, there are many different means that you can use to improve your ADR, but for the future, probably we have to use artificial intelligence. So this is the low detectors problem. What about this artificial intelligence? We know that artificial intelligence is everywhere. Probably in the room we have a couple of devices that are working under artificial intelligence. It's just already part of our life. But how does it work for polyps? For polyps it works that you have to get started just collecting still pictures and videos and create a sort of a neural network. So big database that may train the software, the computer, in identifying what is normal and what is abnormal. This is a typical example on how you get started with this work in the beginning when you want to develop an AI system for colonoscopy. And this is the conclusion of an editorial that Doug Rex wrote recently in Gastroenterology, saying artificial intelligence revolution. He was commenting a colonoscopy paper has already begun. So, but why we need AI for colonoscopy? So, on the left side you have a machine. This is the machine we are working with for AI in our unit. We are working with an Italian startup developing AI for colonoscopy. And on the other side there is a bunch of super experts. You see Yahagi, Maideo, there is Stavropoulos, Bim Meller, Muin Kashab, super good expert. Why we need a machine rather than an expert? Because the experts are few, and the expert they miss polyp as well as the non-expert. Probably they miss less, but the machine doesn't miss. So the difference is that the machine works with a different mindset. So I won't challenge the guy making a lot of questions, Dr. Amat. So please make this subtraction. So how much it is? 1, 2, okay. So it took a little bit more than 1 second. He's a smart guy. So can you imagine anybody else doing this kind of operation? It will take more. So you know what can do the machine we are working with, by any kind of machine. So the machine we are working with, we have shown before, it does 4 billion operations per second. So is there any expert endoscopy can do that? And when we do colonoscopy, the machine does 2.4 trillions of operations. And so this is how does it work normally. This is myself. I'm doing diagnostic colonoscopy. I'm using latest generation beautiful scope, BLI, LCI, but my human eye has a certain capability which I cannot go over. So I can pick just a limited number of frames per second. So when I use the computer aided may do much better because it will take all the single frames that is generated by the high definition scope. So using AI, we are just going to multiply the frames analyzed per second during the colonoscopy. So what is this? Looks like extremely difficult. Is there anybody who knows what is this? This is a very simple algorithm. Anytime you get connected to internet, you want to go to Google, this is the algorithm. So in front of a simple solution, there is a very difficult algorithm to be developed. And so this is the task of the physicians, of the colonoscopists, to develop the algorithm for polyp detection and characterization. So for the future, you will see two different systems. So one is CAD and the other one is CADEX. So what does it mean? One is detection. The other system that is going to be developed is characterization. So these are two different words right now. There are algorithms for detection and algorithms for characterization. In the future, near future, they will be merging, and you will have a system just saying, you flagging an area saying there is a polyp over there, is not a polyp that you have to resect because it's hyperplastic, or is a polyp you have to remove because it is an adenoma. So this is the definition of the CAD for diagnosis, detection. I took this definition from a very nice comprehensive review that is going to be published by Mike Wallace in the next issue of GI Endoscopy. So, but we have talked up to now about the capability, the numbers, but we have also to understand the process which is behind artificial intelligence. So compared to the younger endoscopists, the experts, you guys, you are experts, you do the diagnosis in a shorter time and even better. So you do high quality colonoscopy, you pick all the single lesions and you do that very quickly. So what does it mean? That you as an expert have created your own database, your own internal network, neuronal network, which is the representation of a polyp as it appears during colonoscopy. And during colonoscopy, we do exactly like we drive the car. So once we drive the car, we are multitasking. We are talking with the new girlfriends, we are talking with the wife at the same time, and also we are answering to secretary saying postpone the appointment because I'm late, and also talking to our friends to book next tennis training. So we do a lot of things, and we do the same during colonoscopy. During colonoscopy, we overlook everything, but in the same time, our neuronal network is just looking to pick the single lesion. So is there anybody that knows about where is Valdo? This famous game where it's required to identify where is Valdo in this crowded area. So this is what we call the visual search. It's a perceptual task that requires your attention specifically to scan the entire environment, but to find a little point in that big and crowded area. And there are a lot of different points that I call the distractors, but I need to find where Valdo is. So how we do that? You think that our brain is doing just moving around like spotlight, or just looking to the single points, or is just having the whole appearance and just scanning with the general appearance? So we are lucky because our mindset allows us to do both in the same time, like when we drive the car. And the reason is evolutionary. So this is what we have created thanks to the database that is part of our experience and skill. So it's important when you talk about AI that you know these two concepts. One is peripheral attention, okay, that allow us to scan very broad area. So this is peripheral. And also foveal. Foveal means that we are able to pick the fine details we are looking for. So normally, peripheral attention in visual search means that we have a sort of mind's eye that is looking for the target of polyp. It's very important that you know that we have an area in our prefrontal cortex, it's called the frontal high field. This is the area where there is the coordination of the neurons that are able to separate from the peripheral vision, the foveal single part that is interesting for us. So this is done through the frontal high field, and I will be coming back to this concept. So in colonoscopy, we're still missing polyp. My miss rate of polyp is about 10 to 15%. But in literature, if you look to data, there is missing polyp rate up to 30%. And when you look this data, most of the lesion may be adenomatous lesion. So we are not protecting our patients from cancer. So why we miss the polyps? First, the polyps are not properly exposed to our vision. They are beyond the fold, and we can use the endoring, all these devices, better angle of scope, angle of vision. We can use different devices on the top of the scope. Or because the polyp is there, it's going to be undetected by the physician. What does it mean? That in this case, our peripheral attention, just scanning the broad area, is failing down. Okay? Or another point may be that your frontal high field fails to reach the threshold of attention, of alert necessary to look to the single polyp. So there are two different situations that can lead to undetected polyps. And this may happen for different factors. One can be the polyp is seen very shortly. So we are concentrated on the peripheral vision, and our mind doesn't get the time to pick the single frame. I have shown before what is the difference in terms of frame between us and the machine. Or we have two polyps. One is taking our attention, so it's distracting our peripheral and foveal attention to the big polyp, and we are missing polyp on another side. Or the polyp is very subtle, is flat, and we do not recognize, it's not with a familiar pattern to us. So our prefrontal cortex doesn't recognize that as a mucosal abnormality. Or this happens all the time. I'm very hungry because my stocks are not doing well, so Wall Street is giving me a lot of pain, and I'm very tired. I had a big fight with my colleague, and I'm distracted because I'm thinking to the next car I want to buy. All of these noise issues will distract your foveal attention and will not allow you to find the polyp properly. And we know that unacceptable variability in outcome is a reality. So I don't want to talk about the data published by the other guys. This is our data. So we have a system in my hospital, we record and we provide to external audit the adenoma detection rate month by month. And you see the variability. There are months that the adenoma detection rate drops down to 18%, which is unacceptable. So this is why we may need something that helps us. So unfortunately, I cannot show you the videos because there is an issue of confidentiality. The system we are working with is not yet onto the market. We are not allowed to show you. But this is a typical situation of what's happened. You see, there is a very nice peripheral vision, but the foveal is up to there. If you are a little bit distracted, you are going to miss that polyp that was an adenoma. So you have to imagine that for the future, AI will work like Angel next to you. It's a second expert operator with a superimposed box in the real-time colonoscopy saying, okay, putting your attention there. It's like having double prefrontal cortex, allowing you to go there because there may be a suspicion of lesion. Of course, the final decision will be on behalf of physician. So AI is not doing colonoscopy. AI is increasing your mind capability to identify the polyp, but the final decision will be up to us. So we do not intend to change the way we do the colonoscopy. And we do not intend to replace the physicians with the machine, but we want to have a very experienced second observer that doesn't matter about the time you're doing the colonoscopy, it doesn't matter about the fact that you are tired or angry or you need to rush because you have to go to pick up your son at school, it's very late, you have to complete your colonoscopy. So there are plenty of data. I have counted about 100 colonoscopy papers published up to now. Most of them are very experimental. The only 2 papers reporting a little bit of more advanced data have been published in gastro with a very limited number of patients. Can you imagine they got publication in gastro with 9 patients and 15 polyps. And these are the data, you see, the data are quite good. We have generated our data also that will be presented at DDW. We cannot show the data before, I'm very sorry about that. So what about the characterization? Again, this is a definition of KDIX by Mike Wallace in his review paper GI endoscopy. So the purpose of this system is predict pathology. So we are going towards prediction of histology. Of course, if you have the best machine, and you are Pradeep Bhandari or Dr. Rex or somebody else, you can be very familiar with interpretation of morphology, a P pattern, you can predict histology. But presently, all of us, we are taking 2-step process. So we do endoscopy and we wait for histology. So who is doing here real-time optical biopsy for polyp? Is there anybody doing that? No, we are not doing that. And I think that the future will be that. We see the polyp, we predict histology, we decide this is a potential cancer precursor, we have to remove that or we can leave that. Can you advance? Next slide, please. Okay, so just upgrade the level of endoscopic confidence. So, according to my confidence, this is a tiny lesion into the right colon. I do not understand what is this. Is there anybody who can tell what is this? It's a carcinoma. So I'm using all the technology available here, including the optical zoom, you see? And also I added Medellin blue on the top and the optical zoom. At this point I can recognize big pit opening. So this is according to classification published in American Journal of Gastroenterology, typical feature of sessile serrated lesion, probably with dysplasia. So if you do not have this technology, you are not able to make the decision. And what we want to have is somebody much better, like a machine that can do that. Next slide. It's not working. So we have already prediction tool. This kind of prediction tool has been prepared by a group of 7 physicians in Europe, including Pradeep Bhandari, myself, Cesar Hassan, Ralph Bishop, Helmut Neumann, and Emmanuel Coron. And we worked on this prediction tool. And you see how does it work? You have different items to consider. What is the pattern, the morphology, depressed, the non-depressed. So what is the vessel pattern. At the end, you should be able, just looking through this issue, to have a response from the machine saying you the predictive diagnosis adenoma in 92%. So we are very close to the PV criteria. Next slide. So sorry. Next slide, please. And these are the data that's been generated by the few studies that's been done with the system for characterization. You see they are quite good. They come from Korean and Japanese group. The Japanese group is applying a diagnosis with the CADEX system just using endocytoscopy. So they do this, but they use a super sophisticated Olympus scope that can make endocytoscopy. So the ability of this optical zoom to increase the images at the level of microscopy. And I'm not sure there's going to be something that can go onto the market because nobody has this kind of scopes. But in general, the other paper is showing quite good data. Sensitivity is 96%, but you see specificity is still low, and they met 2 PV criteria on 3 criteria. So next slide. So this is my last slide. So I want to tell you where we are. So one system is already CE marked. It's the one that we are working with. We cannot disclose nothing about this system until the company decides to show that, but it's already CE marked, so potentially can go into the market in Europe. There are 2 systems under FDA evaluation, so 2 systems that already submitted application for approval to the FDA Committee for Medical Devices. One is the device we are working with, and the other one is a Chinese machine. There are 7 different systems under clinical trials, including systems from the major scope companies like Fujifilm and Olympus. Both of them, they are working on their own AI system. And this is not a prediction, this is a reality. Next year, all of you will have available into the market, including Saudi market, the system for detection, at least 1 or maybe 2 systems, and by 2021 there will be a system for characterization to the market. Sorry again, and thanks for your attention.